Welcome to Comics with Dan, and we're going to be talking about Space Ghost number 7. Space Ghost was an absolute delight to read this month. Before I get into the specifics of this issue, let's talk a bit about how the standalone monthly format has been working for Pepose and company. I think that a lot of times there are a few ways that creative teams can miss on this type of comic. From failing to make it truly standalone, meaning that there needs to be some sort of other reading happening to understand what goes on, to having inconsistent quality issue to issue, even though this is a more traditional form or traditional approach to comics. It can be hard for creators to get it right in this day and age because it's not as common anymore. What's great is that Pepose, Loud, Dalhouse, and Esposito managed to not only keep the quality consistent, but also the characterization from issue to issue. I feel like the characters are growing with each issue, even though the stories are standalone. So far, including this issue here, we've had 7 issues of Space Ghost with 6 stories. Issue 1 provided an origin for the team getting together. Issue 2 sort of expanded on that and, had its own standalone story where, they visit Ghost Planet. Issue 3 was a RoboCorp heist, which was really fun. Issues 4 and 5 were the Zorak two-parter, and issue 6 was the Moltar issue. Now, issue 7 is an issue starring your favorite spacefaring monkey, Blip. We had the trauma for Jace after taking out Zorak, which I say taking out because there's no way that they killed Zorak 5 issues into this series. There's just no way that it happened. I refuse to believe it. Not only did that trauma carry over from issue 5 into issue number 6, but it actually really drove issue number 6, which I thought was great. Issue 6 still felt standalone, but issue 5 definitely impacted the events of issue number 6. So I think you could have picked up issue number 6 and been fine, but it would have made you want to go back and read, well, what happened to Jace that made him want to do this, which I think is great. So I think Pepose is just doing a really great job of keeping the format standalone, but also not being too restricted by it. I feel that there's a big overarching RoboCore plot line that's happening extremely slowly, and it's not the main focus right now, but it's definitely playing a part in all of these. So I think that it's really just a really well done book. One final note on the format is that I have a really awful memory, so it really is great for me to not have to remember what happened last issue to enjoy this issue. Now for issue number 7. This might have been my favorite issue of the series so far. We open with the aftermath of a crash on a strange planet, and all the humans are acting foggy and hardly able to function. This is the doing of the Creature King, which is not a Space Ghost villain I'm familiar with. And I think we're starting to branch out into Space Ghost villains that I'm not going to be familiar with because I only know the really popular ones. But the Creature King doesn't know that Space Ghost and the crew have a trick up their sleeve, Blip the Space Monkey. We go on a Blip-led mission to save the day, which I've noticed a recurring theme of having Space Ghost supporting cast save the day. I've seen complaints about that, where people say they want to read a book where Space Ghost is the star, not Jan and Jace and so on. But I really like the approach that Pepose is taking to really incorporate those around Space Ghost into the mix. I think it shows that someone who is generally seen as a loner, that it's important for him to sort of grow this family and have those around him that he trusts. The Blip issue comes with 2 things. An extremely heartfelt dialogue from Blip to Jace that shows how much Blip appreciates and loves his crewmates. And in addition to that, some really over-the-top goofy space adventure action. I expected the fun action because what about a monkey shooting a laser gun doesn't sound like fun, but also every issue of this has been a blast, so it's not surprising at all. The really heartfelt moments that Blip had, it was just really top quality writing. In addition to that, for whatever reason, I feel like Blip has a British accent, and I'm hoping that David can confirm or deny that. I don't know if he has thought about that, but when I read Blip's dialogue, it was in a British accent for some reason. So, David Pepose's best issue by far, easily his best issue yet. Jonathan Lau continues to rock the book. On occasion, I feel a bit like a broken record because I have the same compliments for Lau each issue. His departure from the more glossy usual space adventure fare, and a more grainy look for his pencils, that's present again. What feels like 90s superhero comic physique for Space Ghost. It's definitely an acquired taste to have characters look like that, but it's fun and nostalgic for me, so I enjoy it. And just a lot of cool action. If you watch my Space Ghost reviews before, you've heard it all before. Lau is incredibly consistent in providing a good product here for Space Ghost. Andrew Dalhouse is similar in this regard. I mentioned Dalhouse in my review of Corvus, which is another sort of cosmic space adventure book, where I saw the more traditional colors. And Dalhouse continues to use flatter colors, which I think is really just a result of working with what works best with Jonathan Lau's pencils. I think that it can't be said enough how well Dalhouse's colors complement Lau's artwork. I think I've said it probably, well, this is issue 7, so I've said it probably 6 times before this, that the colors that Dalhouse uses, they just fit Lau's artwork so well, and that if he were to try to use something that was more traditional in a space adventure book, that it might not quite fit right. And so I think that Dalhouse should be commended for that. Taylor Esposito's letters are great once again. I like that he keeps it simple when he needs to, but provides some flair to mix things up on occasion. One thing I've noticed is the way that Esposito uses this kind of colored circle to put around a speech bubble and emphasize the speech, which I also noticed with Ken Lopez's letters in Grant Morrison's JLA run that I was reading recently. So I'm not sure if Esposito was inspired by Lopez specifically from this, or if it's something that letters do a lot that I'm just realizing now. But it's a really cool style that I like. I think it is sort of a different look than just expanding the words or the text outside of the speech bubble. So I think it's a cool way to do it. Space Ghost number 6 was a beautiful story with fun action. Space Ghost number 7 was a beautiful story with fun action. I'm starting to see a trend here. After reading this, I found myself hoping that this team just goes on for 100 issues. I could read this weekly. Even at a $4.99 price tag, I honestly think I'd be happy to pay $20 a month to get Space Ghost every week. I just want more and more of it, and I know that there has to be just so many issues of this, and I'm really excited to see where they take things. I'm excited to see all the stories that the group comes up with, and I can't wait to build to a giant showdown with RoboCorp. Space Ghost number 7 is in shops this Wednesday, November 13th. Like I said, $4.99 price tag, but it has that nice cardstock cover. So it's absolutely worth that little bit extra, and it's actually cheaper than some of the DC and Marvel cardstock covers that you might see out there. So make sure you like the video, make sure that you subscribe, check out my other videos here, and thank you for watching.